Hi, I'm Nancy Antoine. I'm the principal at Bridgewater Elementary here in Northfield, Minnesota. You've just turned on the volunteer training video number 3. In this video, we're going to go over cultural sensitivity basics and how to be effectively culturally sensitive as a Northfield volunteer. What does it mean to be culturally sensitive? Cultural sensitivity means you have the capacity to function effectively in other cultures. It is valuing and respecting diversity and being sensitive to cultural differences. In Northfield, our goal is that every one of our volunteers understands what it means to be culturally sensitive. When volunteering, any form of discrimination or prejudice is absolutely not tolerated. Discrimination includes derogatory behavior, comments, or actions against someone based on their ethnicity, socioeconomic status, gender, sexual orientation, veteran status, marital status, educational level, and disability. To be sure to avoid any sort of cultural insensitivity, here are a few simple steps you can follow that will help you to be more aware of a great cultural presence here in Northfield. The first and most basic thing you can do is to become aware of your own biases and prejudices. By this I mean you should challenge your own assumptions. What are some things I would assume about Group X? Why do I assume these things? And why am I wrong in making these assumptions? The next and probably one of the most important steps to remember is to never impose your own cultural values and beliefs onto others. People have the right to follow whatever culture or beliefs they please, and it is important for you to respect that right and their right. The third step would be to avoid using any sort of derogatory language. Even words that seem okay to one group of people could be highly offensive to another. Some of these words could include things like ghetto, redneck, or even retard. The fourth step in becoming culturally sensitive is to remain sensitive in your actions. As simple as this sounds, it is very important in any volunteer setting that you are empathetic to those around you. Now, I say empathetic, not tolerant. This can be done by simply apologizing. Being apologetic and sincere is the best way to respond when you have offended someone. Remember, it costs nothing to say, "I'm sorry," but it may cost a lot if you refuse to use those words. These 4 steps will be very useful when interacting with students, faculty, and community members during your volunteership. It is important to mention some other common areas for discrimination. One of these areas is sexual orientation. We want to make sure that you are respectful of someone's sexual orientation. Remember that the government recognizes sexual orientation as a personal right. This means it's protected under law in the same way age, religion, sex, and race are. Respecting religious requirements is also paramount to being culturally sensitive. Unfortunately, like sexual orientation, religion is a very common subject for discrimination. To be respectful of religious requirements is to recognize things like clothing requirements and dietary restrictions. Never assume that everyone is from your church of choice, and again, never impose your own beliefs on others. When talking with a student, you're going to want to do your best to avoid topics like religious beliefs and political opinions. Such topics can influence or offend students. As a volunteer, we recommend that you keep to neutral topics like school, sports, and possibly movies. Now that you've heard all of this, you are about ready to head into the volunteering field. This is the end of the last module, and now that you're culturally sensitive, you can go ahead and take the Module 3 quiz located in the materials section of the volunteer training class. Once you've completed that, you're done with all the basic volunteer training. It is important to mention that some volunteering opportunities require more than just basic volunteering training. Make sure you complete any other additional training necessary for your volunteership before you arrive on site.